Hi, I'm Doug McKinlay, and you're watching Adorama TV. For this episode, we're going to look at 3 pictures where the use of flash was necessary in order to get the shot. Now, I know I've said in the past that I work alone. I don't use assistants to carry softboxes or reflector. I carry everything I need in either a backpack camera bag or a shoulder bag. I also work at tight deadlines, fast turnaround times. And as such, I need to be really aware of when to use a flash and when not to use a flash.
Adorama TV presents Stay Focused with Doug McKinlay.
So I picked this image because it presents a lot of problems that we deal with all the time. Midday sun, tropical latitudes, bright backgrounds, dark skin tones, and of course, never ever enough time. So I was on a travel assignment for the Times of London in Mombasa in Kenya. Now Kenya had been hit pretty hard recently by the unrest, and their tourism industry was quite damaged. So I was sent down there to do a little piece on how it was coming back. Now we're on Diani Beach here in the north side of Mombasa, and I approached this guy. I love the way that he was very friendly to start with. And the beach is lined with people selling trinkets and little souvenir shops. And I just love the way he's in his traditional Maasai dress. So when I approached him, I started talking with him a little bit, first before I even lifted the camera. And once I was comfortable with him and he was comfortable with me, then I asked him if I could take his photograph. And of course, he said, yes, that's fine. Now, when I look at this image, the problems that I'm presented with, especially really, is that his skin tone is quite dark and the overhead sun right above his head. So I'm going to get really bad shadows in and around his eyes, under his chin, and you can see a little bit under his nose even still. Now the only way I can mitigate this is use a bit of fill flash. So I've got my flash mounted on my camera because I'm up against time here too. And I've backed the power off on the output of the flash down to a 1/16. It's just enough to sort of fill up the holes and bring his face back into proper exposure, and at the same time not blowing out the backgrounds. So the numbers in the camera for this picture were a 50mm 1.4 lens on a Canon 5D Mark III with an ISO of 100 because it's nice and bright, with an f-stop of 4 because I wanted to get a little bit of blur in the background here, and a shutter speed of 1/1000th. That really snapped it shut. So the creative use of flash is really only limited to your imagination. They're fantastic tools. Now, a while back, I was commissioned to shoot pictures for a book on Marrakesh and Morocco for Lonely Planet publications. It was a frenetically busy job. I was in country for about 3 to 4 weeks, working up to 18 hours a day. I was pretty tired, actually. But every now and then, I managed to get into a spot where I was taking the pictures, but it was a little less crazy. Now, for this image, I'm in a supper club in Marrakesh where we've got belly dancers and tea dancers. Now, getting this image, there was a few little problems that presented themselves that I had to overcome. So what I wanted to achieve was something more than the usual. These women were incredibly frenetic, lots of energy, and I wanted to try and portray that with my pictures. Rather than just your usual dull flash to subject to camera shot, I wanted to use a technique, rear curtain sync, that helped to bring that energy into the frame. So first things first, get in position. So I managed to get a chair right next to the performance area. Next, I chose my lens. In this case, it was a 16 to 35mm 2.8 short zoom lens. Now, I've said I don't use assistants. It doesn't mean that I can't find the help of somebody who happens to be sitting beside me. Now, I attach my flash to the camera via a long sync cord, a 2-meter long cord. And then the man beside me was kind enough to hold the flash in the right position as I instructed for me to take my shots. Now, the method we're using is rear curtain sync. And how this works is that you're using a longer exposure. In this case, it was about a 2-second exposure. And the flash will fire just as the shutter starts to close on that 2 seconds. This is what gives us this funny effect here. It gives the picture its energy, makes it much more interesting than just a straight shot from flash to subject to camera. I find these kind of pictures actually quite relaxing. After long, hard days of running around in the heat, sweating into my camera strap, I can sit back and just relax. For this picture, all I wanted was an evenly lit image featuring this man's great face and the cowl surrounding it. His eyes were really blue and they really stood out, really grabbed my attention. Now we're up in the Bamyan Valley in Afghanistan, and this man and his colleagues are camel drivers going through the valley. We're sitting at a tea hut, having a quick refreshment, when I notice this guy, and through my interpreter / driver, we get chatting with him. And he agrees, for the price of a cup of tea, to have his picture taken. Now the problem I was presented with were shadows and lack of light. Now the lack of light was because his colleagues were all standing around us blocking out any kind of sun. But also there was a bit of shadow under his eyes, and his left shoulder was lost in shadow. And I wanted to bring that out a little bit. But instead of hitting him with a full-on flash, what I did was I swiveled the head of the flash backwards and had my driver, who was standing behind me, hold up an A4 piece of paper, and I bounced the light off of that back onto his face, acting as a rudimentary reflector. Now when you're in the field, you use whatever you can to try and get the picture done. So the technical information for this picture is as follows. I'm using a 50mm 1.4 lens, set at f4 to get myself some background blur. The shutter speed's at 1/200th of a second. The ISO is at 200. On the flash, we've got the flash powered down to about 1/4 of the output with the sync speed at 1/250. Now your shoe-mounted flash is a fantastic tool. I know it can be a bit intimidating at first, but with practice, it's something you're never going to want to go anywhere without. So that's it for me. I'm Doug McKinlay for Adorama TV. Now you can join Adorama TV for more great videos. You can like, comment, or share in this video. And don't forget to drop by the Adorama Learning Center for more great tips and tricks.
Do you want great looking prints at low cost? Be sure to visit our easy to use online printing service. Adorama Pix has professionals who treat your images with the utmost care that you can count on. For a quick turnaround on photos, cards, or albums, use AdoramaPix.com.